Thank you for staying with us for the news. Now, in our first story, the family of a nursing mother allegedly killed by a stray bullet from a military shooting at Manso Datano in the Ashanti region is asking government to institute measures to end security agents killing unarmed civilians in the country. Her baby also sustained a gunshot wound to the left palm. Now, the family of the deceased says recent shootings of unarmed civilians during clashes have become one too many and must stop. Love FM's Emmanuel Bright-Kweku has more in this report.
Family of the deceased are in absolute despair and yet to come to terms with the demise of Felicia Dankwa. The 25-year-old mother was killed after being hit by a stray bullet of an infiltrated military officer. The shooting incident is said to have occurred late morning on Saturday when a group of mourners were observing the burial of a colleague who reportedly died after falling into an illegal mining pit 3 months ago.
Ni eni pa me nsa na ejina ho osi ya no busa se mo ne ese mu jimi wa ha no ye hu ya ne sa ba wa twe no de bro yen kwana no sase so otutu otufa soro ogye ni sei otutu fa soro santo de hwe fom no ene pae etwetwa bo sa ene kan yen ti me ha ebo ne bo me de wa wu ne de bullets e se hwe ne ha no se ye kwa ye koso ni mu no na didi furo na yi.
According to eyewitnesses over here, this is the very point where the military officer gave several warning shots into the air, of which one hit the floor and deflected, hitting Felicia Dankwa, the deceased, just some few meters away from here.
She left behind 1-year-old daughter who was tied to her back when the gun went off. She also sustained a gunshot wound to the palm. A delegation from the Amansia South District Security Council, led by District Chief Executive Clement Opoku, has since visited the family to commiserate with them. Richmond Jemfi is local chief for the area.
Nensama obaye okaye ene se wama fu assurance say womo bedi akire ba bia asam no bekwa akopim bia no womo nyaye mu etoso biem ye de hye na wowuo no nso no ho modern mo bia na womo bebo say ye be promoted ye be papa mu ehunu say yetuo ampa ana bibi foforo no ni nyina no woma fu assurance so womo bedi akire.
However, residents in the community want the military deployment to the area withdrawn.
Soja ni bia ewo kura imu eni bra ba pa ye soja ni bia ni tweka de ya soja fo na ye wo man no nyame ene no kure ano odin e ya asefem na aye kane na enke be mu dua danta ne ye ne wo mu de asia nim nanso no enkonkoba ne sa.
The family says it will be arranging for the burial of the deceased after an autopsy and further investigations have been carried out.
From here at Manso Datano, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
Well, in our second story, a meeting to negotiate an increment in base pays ahead of the 2023 budget was adjourned to today as negotiations stalled on Tuesday. The unions are asking government to increase their base pay by 60%. They described government's initial offer as unsatisfactory, forcing the meeting to end earlier than expected. Michael Ashali, my colleague, monitored the meeting and now reports.
The meeting, we just understood, has been adjourned to Wednesday, November 23, 2022. For negotiations to continue. We understand it's a sort of a stalemate, and an agreement is to, the agreement, I beg your pardon, is to postpone the meeting to tomorrow. Again, earlier we mentioned that there were some difficulties finding a suitable venue for this particular meeting. The large size of the negotiation labor unions made it difficult for them to use the particular room that they just finished using yesterday.
As we speak now, there's been no deal, and we have adjourned to come back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Yeah, we've not agreed on anything. Well, so far they've been explaining things to us. We are also explaining things to them.
What are they saying? What are you saying?
Well, we are still negotiating. So when we finish, we'll get the end result. We have sent our proposals to them, and they want to be at an agreeable zone. But so far, I think the zone we are in is not agreeable.
Which zone are you in?
So when we get there, we'll cross it.
Do you still
so tomorrow, we will not ask for 60%. When you look at our proposals, it's about 140%. So I don't know where you're getting that 60% from. Well, we are negotiating, we're negotiating. We're all being reasonable. And I think everything reflects in our pockets. And we all know the economy. Yeah, so we are being very reasonable.
Nothing changed from the previous position that government came with. And we are insisting that until government gets to a realistic zone of possible agreements, then there's nothing to talk about, because we can also not sacrifice the lives of our members.
We have the Deputy Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Bright Rekun, who tell us what really transpired. We've seen most of the labour unions storm out. What they tell us that the meeting has been adjourned. Honourable, can you confirm to us what exactly happened? They told us that you were not willing to negotiate with them, so they had to call it off and probably come tomorrow.
Well, that's not correct. It is not that we were not willing to talk to them, but like I keep saying, we are negotiating. So once you are not getting the consensus, then it will call for adjournment. So it's not like one party is not willing to engage. We are engaging, except that we are not coming to meeting ends.
Okay. Yep. So the decision to call it off is not because you are offering them less than 15%.
It is not. It's not a call off. Okay. It is adjournment. I mean, we have had to go back and continue to reflect. We are dealing with, give and then take. And if you are not coming to ad idem, automatically you then have to adjourn and come back. But the willingness of both parties to engage, as I keep saying, is there. And you could tell that, yes, they wish that they get a certain amount. And we are also saying that we are also considering lots of things. It will be difficult where they are. We need to calm down. They need to, and then we are not getting meeting minds. That is where we are. I'm sure tomorrow, God willing, we'll be able to have a truce. Well, on the back of all those are the reasons why we are meeting almost every day, just to make sure we meet the time and target. And so, I mean, let's hope that we'll complete tomorrow, and then the budget will also complete its figures.
Well, business owners, meanwhile, are calling for workable solutions to stall the cedi's depreciation and inflation that are currently killing their profits. At the market, traders are lamenting the high cost of transportation. They are hoping this budget will cut taxes on petroleum products so the cost of transportation will reduce.
How? No, the match and so. Yanto Sikeni ho. Sister near Passoy and say, petrol on Tesso. Nina fi petrol na banintin and Yaman and a boyadin. What the petrol no sooner. Baby, I want the fee babano. Once one better so, my young so yatta so. Our market will be to me at Toby. And I ban on shine on your baby. No man on Tesso, my petrol no crown queen. 70 years in community fee. So my 70 years. My country, Papa, Sika, Media, Sika for my echo. You may buy and talk. What's your chance to say, Cron, will be a motor, no call. To one shot my
Sosia Mumudi and Yamani and Yamayading. Jane no first no. Na sack me was sack red you away. 150 pocket out in says you are 5.5. But talk a CNI what on 12 million. Nancy Anna Jamai ye kakra. It is the Yamayading to one shamay near Yakonica, almost Stefano. One moment to stand on Mondeco, Necofaba. The woman shamay and answer the phone went to me Tony and Yadi. That's why I am ban. I say idea Yakra.
Minko idea. Come if I say Lolly Fan and also Shamay. Oh, yes, Lolly Fanny, the aircono, a hard journey. If we say you may be a bar, would draw back over your jolly film contains these 12 cities, which means your only film was by 6 million, 7 nah, dear, yeah, bre.
Well, now officials of the Zwarungu Preventive Station of the Ghana Revenue Authority Customs Division say they work with bated breath in fear that the building currently housing them could collapse at any time. The building was a base for colonial masters built mostly from mud and wood. It is believed to be around 100 years old and has now been declared unsafe for inhabitation by the Ghana National Fire Service. But the customs officials continue to use it because they have not been provided with an alternative place to work from. Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Sori now reports.
Today, the Zwarungu Preventive Station of the Ghana Revenue Authority Customs Division has impounded a bus they believe had been attempting to smuggle food items and also trying to outwit the security agencies in order not to pay duty to the state. The driver of the bus, with registration number GN4081-18, pretended to be carrying passengers who could not be seen because of the tinted windows of the bus. Rather, the bus was loaded with gallons of oil and bags of rice and sugar. Even a small compartment on the roof of the bus was used to conceal gallons of oil.
This has been what most of them have been doing. They try to outwit us, so they tint the glasses of the buses and then load all the seats with goods. And then when they get to the barriers, most of the time they don't stop. They try to move as fast as possible to dodge being searched. My vigilant officers were able to stop it at the Zwarungu barrier coming from Boko. And casually looking at this, their duty should run into tens of thousands of Ghana cedis. So basically what we do now is just let them pay with a penalty of up to 300%.
SRO Reginald Ayite Adama is in charge here. He believes he and his men are working hard, but he is not a happy man because he and his staff are working in constant fear for their lives.
The building is a very old building, I understand, and it's a little scary to work in here, especially knowing that the building is made of mud. When it's in the rainy seasons, we get really scared. The beams supporting the floor, like the first floor, the beams supporting, they are made of wood and they are all rotten. The structure itself is also infested with bats. In the evenings around 6 o'clock, you see thousands of bats flying out of the ceiling.
Dating back to the 1900s, the colonial masters set up their base here in Zwarungu in this building constructed from mainly mud and wood. Presently, the building is housing the Zwarungu Preventive Station of the Ghana Revenue Authority Customs Division, but it is no longer in the best of shapes. There are cracks on the walls, and some of the woods supporting the building are rotting and about to give way. What used to be a slave dungeon in this colonial building now serves as a warehouse where impounded goods are to be safely kept in this customs station.
Later last year, the fire service came around and then they wrote a report that the structure is not very fit. There were auditors from the head office and then external auditors. They also came here. Then they said the structure is more like a death trap. Just where I am seated, there's a very big crack here. This is the preventive station, so we do a lot of patrols, we do a lot of arrests to exert duties and everything. If this thing should cave in at any time, all our machines, all our equipment is going to be a financial burden to Ghana Revenue and then to the state, and then lives could also be lost. I have personally written reports to the head office. Like I said earlier, they've promised to come, but as of now we have not seen any works yet. We've not seen anything yet.
Chief Executive for the Bolgatanga East District, David Amwa, had this to say about the situation.
Yeah, that building is older than all of us sitting here. It's no more directly under this assembly, but it is under Ghana Revenue Authority because they are operating in it now. So the only thing we can do is probably to support them. Probably if we get a different location or office for them, then we maintain it as a historical monument.
Officials of the Zwarungu Preventive Station of the Ghana Revenue Authority Customs Division are hoping that government intervenes and finds them a new office space before an unthinkable disaster occurs. Reporting for Joy News, Albert Sori, Zwarungu.
Now, the minority in Parliament says any private investor who will be approached by government to take over the Sagleme project must reject the offer. They say a future NDC government would not honor any such arrangements to sell off the project. The facility has been abandoned since the NPP government took office in 2017, with rodents and weeds taking over what was meant to be an affordable housing scheme. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante toured the facility with MPs and came through with this report.
This abandoned project cost the taxpayer $200 million. 6 years since the change of government, it has been abandoned and left to rot. The facility has been taken over by rodents and other animals. Government announced only last week it was open to selling it off to a private developer. Well, the minority say no way.
I'm shocked with what I've seen and the team here, and I know you are also very shocked about this. And going back to Parliament, I don't think we have to go and rest. If there should be anything that we have to do as a committee in Parliament to compel this government to look for funding to complete this project without using any private developer, we have to do it. So any private developer that will partner the government to complete this project, the project will be taken away from you.
A member of the Committee on Works and Housing, Gisela Tete Abutui, a professional architect, warned citizens to turn the heat on government to complete the project.
And I'm very disappointed. Number one, there are 5 policemen who are patrolling this place. This is large estate. How much security can they provide for this? The concrete walls over there. When you enter the rooms, you see that the switches have been cut, have been pulled off and cut off, and they've been left there. The switches are Hager switches. That is not a cheap brand. Just look at the doors that are there. Good quality finishes and good quality fittings. So if this has been left to deteriorate to this manner, we should be asking very serious questions of the government and why they have left it to this point. I'm very disappointed. And as an architect myself, it breaks my heart to see so much waste.
Nkranza South MP Emmanuel Kojoje-Kun is alleging a deliberate plot to run down the facility and sell it off to cronies.
It's just a matter of somebody trying to run it down so they can pay cheap. They can organize with their cronies to be able to get it cheap. And trust me, I can prophesy to you today that this is going to be sold to a family member. This is going to be sold to a friend. This is going to be sold to a business that is close to these guys in power who are saying that it's a failed project.
So this facility that cost the ordinary taxpayer more than $100 million has now been left to rot, and the minority are not leaving this hanging. They want urgent governmental action to fix the mess that is now the Sagleme project. They say they are completely against the privatization of this project and have been issuing a threat to any potential private investor that if you get involved in this project, a 2025 NDC government will not honor any agreement you had with the current government. We've been inside, we've seen the fittings having been completely stolen, electrical materials, the burglar proofs, the glasses, the doors, the windows, everything is gone, and this building is back in a state that is uninhabitable. They say that a future NDC government will complete this project and no privatization will be allowed. From Sagleme, here in Ningo Pram Pram, Kweku Asante for Joy News.
My colleague Kweku Asante bringing us to the close of the AM News. But we have a lot more coming your way this morning as we reflect on today and our expectations for tomorrow. We'll be delving into the papers up next. Do stay.